Hi there, welcome to Barlovento Sailing and an owner's review and tour of the 2014 Hanse 415. So the Hanse 415 has an overall length of approximately 41 feet and a beam at its widest point of just under 14 feet. And the keel, the draft, is just under 7 feet. The cockpit is incredibly spacious. We really love the openness to it. With the dual helm, loading up the boat for a weekend is quite easy because there's lots of space just to walk through and load our things onto the boat. But one of our favorite features is the drop-down swim platform. It's probably one of the first things that we do when we arrive at an anchorage is to just drop the platform, and it just really opens up the space in the cockpit and provides easy access for a swim. So down here behind the transom is a little storage area, and it's designed actually for a life raft. We don't have one, so we sometimes keep empty diesel fuel containers down here when we're out cruising. On either side here of the opening in the transom, this is a vent for the engine room fan, and over here we have a manual bilge pump. These caps just open up for access to the shower. This can be a little bit awkward to put away and take out. It's not the best design, but once we have it out, it certainly is convenient to have. Starboard side of the cockpit is the helmsman position, and we have the engine throttle control down here. In this compartment is the propane locker, and we have a couple of cockpit speakers as well. On the other side, at the helmsperson position, are these blocks. These are there to help keep you upright when the boat's heeled over, and this boat does like to heel. The unfortunate thing about these is they don't come out. So when you're walking around in bare feet, a lot of people have stubbed their toes on them. It's just one of those things. I wish they'd come out, but when we're heeling over, they're great. So a feature of the Hanse 415, like many modern production boats, is it's very easy to sail and maneuver. There are no lines in the cockpit. They all run aft right to the helmsperson position. On either side there are these storage lockers for all of the lines and halyards and sheets. It's a German main sheet system, so we can control the boom on either helm's position. One of the things that we find tricky is the bimini, which we had installed. In order for it to be high enough to accommodate our height, and we're not tall people, we can only sheet in the boom so much before it comes into contact with the bimini. That limits our ability to sheet in the main and can have an impact on performance. However, it hasn't been that big of a problem. The bimini is great. It's a great platform for the solar panels and also provides great protection. Sitting here at the helm position, there's really easy access to the winches. Both the primary winches are electric on this boat, which is a great feature. Sometimes the mainsail is quite heavy, and we could use a little assistance here from our electric friends. The secondary winch is not electric, and clutches are positioned in between primary and secondary winches. On this port side line locker, we also have the connection for the shore power. Sitting at the helm position, there's a fairly good view of the console and the chart plotter. It's right in the center here on the table. One of the odd things, though, is that the bow thruster control is up here on top of the console, and so it's a little tricky to reach. Not sure why it was placed there. It would make more sense for it to be over here, closer to the throttle position. Seating on both sides is very comfortable. The boat came with some nice cockpit cushions. We really enjoy sitting out here. It's super, super comfortable. The cockpit table works well. It's teak. At this time it's unfinished, but we do plan to finish it. It just simply lifts up and locks into place. And there's one on the other side too, and it provides lots of space for 4 people to have dinner quite comfortably here in the cockpit. There's one design feature here that's a little odd. It's this housing for the chart plotter right here. It has a bit of a corner, and it's made of stainless steel, and it's quite hard. So you can imagine if you were to walk through and bump your hip or your thigh on this, it's not going to feel very good. So far, we haven't really had that problem, but we always have to watch out for it. So just standing here under the Dodger, on either side of the companionway, there are these sort of platforms. There are some cup holders. These are opening hatches. So if there's a breeze coming from the back of the boat, it does a nice job of ventilating the guest cabin and the galley. A couple of windows here just really help getting some additional light into the salon. But a neat feature are these little compartments. And so they just open up, and it's a great place to put phones and binoculars and other items up here when we're at sea, and keeps things from rolling around when we're heeled over, because this boat does like to heel. That helps make it simple to sail is the self-tacking jib. So up here on the bow, there's a track for the self-tacking jib, and here is the sheet that pulls it out. One thing that we're noticing is that this does get twisted. It's probably something that we can fix just by restringing it, but we're finding it does get twisted quite a bit. So here's the self-tacking jib track. It works fairly well. We found on a couple of occasions it has gotten stuck, so we would do a tack on a lighter wind day and it wouldn't actually slide over. But what we noticed is if we just give it a clean out every once in a while, because it does collect some dirt. It's a very dusty place that we live in. If it gets too dusty in here, it will get stuck. But it's only happened maybe twice since we've owned the boat in the last 2 years. There are a number of hatches on the coach roof. There are two up here. These are both in the V-berth, and they open in opposite directions so we can get a breeze depending on which way the wind's blowing in either direction. There are also two smaller hatches up here. One is just above the head, and the other is also just in the V-berth. So it will catch a cross breeze. Forward here we have the anchor locker. The windlass is offset sort of to the port side. We have 100 feet of chain and 250 feet of rope. There's a remote control that ties into here. So here at the mast, there's a cover, and so we just unzip, take the cover off when we get ready to go out for a sail. What we really like are these little ladder rungs. They really help us to get up and access the halyard, get it connected up to the mainsail. There are two opening hatches here in the coach roof over the main salon. They both open opposed to each other, so again, depending on which way the wind's blowing at the dock or on the anchor, we can get wind circulation or air circulation either way. So one of the factory options that this boat came with is teak deck. We quite like it. It's very attractive looking. It doesn't feel too hot in the summertime. Maintenance, however, is another thing. It does take a lot of cleaning. Again, we live in a really dusty community here, lots of construction, so it doesn't take long for it to get dirty. We don't mind that it's gone to gray. As I say, it does take a lot of maintenance, but we do love it. Starting from the back, we have the guest cabin, and it's a great size, lots of great storage. Hanging lockers here with a full hanging closet, and then one with shelves. Shelf on top, reading lights on both sides of the bed. The reading lights will also turn to red. There's a great shelf here, along with the port light for extra light, an opening port light on the cockpit side, as well as a couple more lights up here, one that opens. Down here behind this panel we have access to the engine compartment. Underneath this bed is the hot water heater. Otherwise, there's lots of storage under there. There's room for another fuel tank or water tank. Way in the back there is a door that comes off where you can crawl in the back area, and behind there is the heater unit and access to where the cabling's coming in for the solar panels. Coming down the companionway is super easy. We really like these stairs. They look great, and the angle is almost like your stairs at home. The main engine access is behind the companionway stairs. They just lift up. And there's the access to the engine, along with the two panels on the other side. The engine is a Volvo Penta D240. These two grab bars on either side make it super safe and convenient to enter and exit the boat. One of the features we really love about this boat is the super large galley. Instead of having a second guest cabin, the boat has a larger galley. So you can see there's that white stripe where the bulkhead would normally go for the second cabin. It's actually an extended galley. Behind that bulkhead and behind that door is the storage garage, which has all kinds of room for just about all the spare parts, luggage, extra toys, all the things we might need for a fun cruise. Down underneath the floor is actually the fuel tank and also the fuel water separator filter. The galley is very well laid out. It has 2 refrigerators, one here with a top lifting door. There's a small freezer and another door down here for access near the bottom. Second refrigerator is here. This is an option on this boat. We're really happy the original owner went with this because this is our beverage fridge and it really has been convenient. Nice little pull-out pantry down here in the corner. There are double sinks and a great little storage spot here for soap and cloths and things like that. And here's the stove with a lift-up countertop. Just slides in behind. 2 burners and an oven. There's also a good amount of storage for food and kitchen equipment. The drawers are great, and of course, they all have soft close hardware. Also in the galley, similar to the guest cabin, is another opening door for access to the engine. On this side, I have access to checking the oil, changing the oil filters, etc. The dining area on the boat has all kinds of space. Unfortunately, we have our cruising Jenniker stored down here. The table is quite large. There's enough room for probably about 5 people to sit around the seating area here. On the other side is more seating and another leaf that opens up. The back bench does slide out and there are infill cushions. So this actually becomes a double bed. So a nice spot just to kind of relax and maybe watch a movie. All kinds of storage along here, all of these lockers, full depth. Underneath are shelves with lots of space for books, a couple of blankets, and underneath the seating here is lots of storage as well. On the port side, we have the navigation table and 2 chairs. We really like this setup. On the Hanse 418, which is the newer version of this boat, it's a little bit different. I believe the cockpit table is here in the corner. I actually kind of prefer this, I think. This cockpit table will drop down. Again, there are infill cushions actually zipped right into these larger cushions here on either side. They come out and just go on top of the chart table, and this whole bench becomes a big couch. The chart table is great. It has a pretty decent amount of space on it and opens up to quite a bit of storage down in here. All of the switches to control the 12-volt system are here on the panel. We also have Fusion stereo, and in behind the panel, it's great access for maintenance. Just down here under the left seat or the aft seat on the port side are all of the electronics. So here is the house battery compartment and 3 lithium battle-borne batteries. They're 100 amp hours, and I just had those installed this summer. They're quite a tight fit, but they work great, and we're really happy to have them. Back here is actually the main motherboard, which has all of the fuses all in one nice, really convenient space with easy access, super clear. Everything's really well labeled. This boat came right out of the factory with really great labeling on all of the wiring, which makes maintenance and troubleshooting much more convenient. Here, the digital multi-control is for the shore power, the charger, and the inverter. Overall, down here in the cabin, the light is pretty good. We have these great ceiling vents and lights, which provide lots of natural light and great ventilation. They have this nice pull shade for when it's super sunny. And also on the other side, there's a mosquito screen that pulls out. So these side port lights are great. They open up and allow for a good cross breeze. There's a drop down little curtain here. This one is staying open. The ones on the other side, however, I've had to adjust them a few times. They get loose and they close by themselves. It's super awkward to get up in there and tighten the mechanism. I've done it once or twice on the other side and they get loose very quickly. So this is the main head. A nice, again, big port light here. What we really like about this head is the fact that the shower is completely separate to the toilet and sink. We've seen some designs where the toilet is actually in the shower, and we really like the fact that it's not. I believe the new 418, the new version of this boat, does have the toilet in the shower compartment. Some backlighting there, lots of storage here behind this sliding door. Now, this is interesting. There are only 2 port lights like this on the boat, and one is designed to be behind a closing cabinet. Another feature that we really love about this boat, very cool thing, is the wine cellar. Right now, it's not wine, but you get the idea. There's another compartment here just under the table, just in case you need a little bit more room for the wine. So that brings us to the V berth. This is Catherine and I's room. I guess you could call it the owner's cabin. So it's great. There's lots of space. It would have a little more space if it didn't have the second head, but as I said before, we kind of grown to appreciate having this, especially when we have guests. Just makes things a little better. And here's the forward head. Very simple. Same sink as the other head, and there is a shower as well that just hooks up here with the drain on the floor. So the V berth is fairly traditional in terms of its design. There's a lot of space here for both Catherine and I, and it's very comfortable. Over here on the left, there's lots of storage. We've got a shelf, sort of a little area down here for shoes, and a little shelf in behind. In here, hanging locker, full length, and a couple of shelves. Actually, in here, there's a light and a shelf on top for a little extra storage. Another opening port hatch up on top for ventilation. Down below here, just more shelving and storage. On the starboard side, not quite as much storage. You lose that feature because of the second head here, but there is a little bit of a shelf and, again, a little place to put shoes and a bag or something. Down there is a vent for the heater, forced air heater. Like in the back berth, we've got reading lights. They have both red and white lights. Up here, there's another sort of backlit light, and then 2 ceiling LCD lights. Just under the mattress is the freshwater tank. In front of that is access to the retractable bow thruster. Just nice to have this plug back here, and it's great to have the fan. It's super helpful on a hot evening. It would be nice to have one on this side as well. Talking about plugs, there are actually a couple more plugs. There's one here in the head, just in the back in there in the cabinet. And there's also one back in here in the galley.
There are a couple of things that I really love about our Hanse 415 Barlovento. My favorite thing is the swim platform. I love to go for a swim, and I love to sit out there, and I can do yoga, like a yoga practice on the platform. That's how large and flat and stable it is, so I really appreciate that. I also really appreciate the ability to sail from the helm, so that everything comes all the way back to the cockpit and we're able to sail with ease. The one thing that I struggle with in the design, I guess, of the boat is the way the windlass is mounted in the locker. The chain piles up below the windlass as it comes in, and if I don't kick it every once in a while further down into the locker or shove it with a pole or whatever, it eventually builds up so much that it actually stops the windlass from bringing in more chains.
So my 2 favorite things about the boat. Well, I guess my first favorite thing is the sailing quality. She sails really well. We have a pretty constant good breeze here in the summertime in Squamish, and it just sails really well. It feels good. It's fast, and the ease of sailing is great. I think the second thing for me would be just how it feels under sail. It feels really safe. The high freeboard, I think, being high up off the water, even when we're heeled over, it just feels really secure, and I always feel confident at the helm, even when it's quite breezy and we're heeled over quite a bit. It just feels really very solid, very stable, creates a lot of confidence for me. I'd say one criticism of this design in particular, storage is important, and in the Hanse 415 there is a compartment at the aft part of the boat. Some access to that compartment from the cockpit would have been really beneficial because it's a fair amount of space, well enough space to store all the fenders while we're out.
Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video. Please, if you did, give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button so that you can join us again on our next little adventure.